Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Bell, and welcome to Marketing Masters, where we interview the top marketing minds of our time, diving into the strategies and branding tactics that make them masters in their space. Today, we have Dr. John Jaquish with us. Let me introduce him real quick. He's a biomedical scientist and fitness expert in search of the treatment for his mother with osteoporosis, which led him to invent a bone density building medical device called OsteoStrong that has reversed osteoporosis for thousands and created more powerful fracture-resistant athletes across the world. He's also partnered with Tony Robbins on this product. And he's the inventor of the X3 bar and program, which I'm really excited to learn about because I have a few fitness studios myself. He's a research professor at Rushmore University and a nominee of the National Medal of Science. And also, last but not least, a Wall Street Journal best-selling author of Weightlifting is a Waste of Time. So with that, welcome to the show, Dr.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Okay, how has shock value helped get you more attention, would you say? And those controversial approaches that you've had.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the book is a great example. I could have called it like the variable resistance solution.
Yes, I think that title got everyone's attention. That's ever been in the gym, right?
Right. So I get criticized, like my headlines, even for my posts. Oh, it's like, oh, this is total clickbait. Mm-hmm. Yeah, clickbait has another word. Mm-hmm. It's called good marketing. Yeah. So,
got their attention.
Yeah. It's like, here's another one. Like people complain to me that in a lot of my videos, I'll be working out outside, but my Lamborghini will be behind me when I work out. And people are like, oh, you had to show off your Lamborghini, huh? They did all kinds of expletives and misspelled words. And I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so my response is people stop. They stop scrolling when they see an exotic car. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I say, you did. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and they did. They stopped. Of course, they stopped to bitch about it, but they just increased my exposure. Yeah. They just get more people to see my advertisement, and they're whining about it, which is just jealousy. Like, okay, but I mean, the Lamborghini is not there for me to pat myself on the back. It's there to get people's attention. Yeah. And you got to get their attention.
I'd say your social media definitely does that. I was going through it and doing my homework on you prior, and there's a picture of you and your beautiful wife, your cars. It gets your attention, so you're like, okay, what's this caption about? And it has nothing to do with the picture, which I loved. I'm like, that's genius. I love that.
And sometimes like they want a little bit of fitness advice or nutrition advice, and I try and make it so that everything I talk about is actionable. But also people are interested in just the general lifestyle. Like part of what the lifestyle of X3 is you have an incredible workout that stimulates incredible growth. Getting the nutrition I've made pretty easy. There's one supplement that we came up with that's like, it's not required, but it might keep you from eating an extra pound of beef in a day.
Tell me about that. What's the name of that?
It's just bacterial fermentation byproduct. And it's the essential amino acids that actually work, because almost all essential amino acids, the amino acids are in there, but they're not digestible. And it really needs to come from fermentation for them to be used by the body, or at least efficiently. So, like people have been talking about EAAs for 50 years. They've never done anything until now. So this new product is called Fortigen. And it's incredible. Haters are great for business. They really are. Like I think entrepreneurs don't realize how many haters they're going to get. They don't. No one's really ready for that. But usually their arguments, which are all jealousy driven. Like when I see a product that I think is probably not going to succeed or not a great idea, I don't spend 20 minutes writing an insulting paragraph. No.
It's like
I just go, I'm not going to buy that. And maybe somebody else will. And I just move on. But all of these things are jealousy driven. So like when I launched the company and it became successful very quickly. That's really what the criticism is about. And, at first they tried to criticize the science of the product, but that was very well established. And I kept presenting that over and over again in different ways, some more simplistic, some more complex, more accurate. And then the haters switched to personally attacking me. And that's when I knew that really, when they're personally attacking you, it's not really about the product.
No.
It's they've shown their hand. They're just mad that they're not successful. So
keyboard warriors.
Yeah, right. And everybody's tough on their hiding behind their keyboard. And then ultimately we get so many sales from people who were just amused that so many people were saying that I was like a scam artist. And so then they'd read the book, or even before the book, they just read our website and they say, this makes perfect sense. So these critics don't seem to understand anything because it's usually just sort of sentence fragments, a lot of misspelled words. Jealous people, they're not successful for a lot of reasons. They chose not to take education seriously. They chose not to go to work or take that seriously. And, so it's definitely a type.
Definitely.
That we get.
Spending more time on someone else's business, trying to tear it down or find different holes instead of working on their own.
Right. And then on top of that, like when their arguments are so bad and it shows that it's really their emotions that are the problem, that just makes more people want to look into it and buy it. So the haters are really not a problem at all. They're sort of useful idiots.
Yeah. So there you go. Haters are good for your business.
Yeah. Well, and look at the most successful companies out there. Like Elon Musk gets so much hate, yet the guy actually broke into the automotive industry. Like it is very difficult to do that. That is probably the highest barrier to entry business you can imagine. And then look at Steve Jobs, like ridiculed, just absolutely ridiculed, right up until his death. And then it's just like, this is like one of the most successful business people ever.
I think when
the people with the haters,
when you hit those levels of success, people want to pick holes and find things. And if anything, it just grows your brand more, like what you're saying.
Yeah. It's just more attention. Like P.T. Barnum said, say you love me, say you hate me, just spell my name right.
Let me ask you, for people that are listening, our viewers that have a product or, they see you and how your business has grown, what would you recommend to them to start marketing themselves?
Well, you got to figure out if you have a market for your product. That's like one of the biggest things. So test marketing, just doing focus groups, bringing people in, having them use it, having them see it. What do they think when they see it? What do they think when they use it? I knew when I just built the first prototype of X3, I built a couple of them. And one of the guys who's now the co-author of the book, Henry Alkire, he said to me, but he was like 18 back then. Well, he might have been a little older than that. Yeah, but he was like interning when he was in undergrad. And he says, like, can I borrow one of those? Because I really want to use it. Like, that thing is awesome. And so this guy has got a scientific mind, and he was as excited as I've ever seen him about X3. And I said, sure. And I lent it to him. And then I went and explained this to my father. And he says, well, like, that guy is very smart and he's not going to screw around with a stupid product.
Yeah.
So I think you have like something amazing here. And I showed it to a couple other people I knew who would give me an honest answer. Just smart, successful people.
Getting in the right hands, right? The right.
Yeah. And I ran through a workout with them and, told them what they thought. And it was funny. One of the smartest people I know said immediately, he goes, oh, the bone density thing, He says, that's nothing. This is the thing.
Mm.
This is gonna be a much bigger success than. I was like, really? Bigger success than reversing osteoporosis?
Because that's pretty huge.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he's like, no, because he's like, reversing osteoporosis, it's no one's going to hear about it because mostly the people who benefit are going to be older. And, there's press isn't going to pick up on it necessarily because there's nothing sexy about, that age category. Yeah. And, where, I mean, like I said, he told me the fucking brutal truth. So, yeah, I just like, okay, well, we'll see. Well, he was right.
He's right. I think when you get it in athletes' hands and different people where they're connecting the dots and they're like, I'm using this bar, then the word gets out. And then I believe you have professional teams using the X3 bar now for training.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The Miami Heat put their endorsement right on the back of the book.
That's amazing. I mean, that's marketing genius right there. Just getting in the hands of the right people.
Right.
And then their product.
And when they succeed with it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now it's funny. Teams they don't really want to share their success secrets. So it's like, it was tough for me to get that because there's 20 other professional athletes that are like really big name, people whose name is worth a lot. And I don't pay for endorsements. All the professional athletes, there's like 40 of them on the website, including the Miami Heat. Nobody was paid because if you pay them, it doesn't mean anything. No. Right.
Their product of your product, and they're be more passionate about it and wanting to share because it actually made a difference in their career and their life.
Right. But I would say there's out of the 20 people that use it that would not give me a free endorsement, some of those are the best athletes in the world. Wow. Like the people you see on TV all the time. And I can't say who they are because I don't pay them, and they would definitely want that kind of, and they've asked me for that kind of relationship. And I'm like, no. I mean, what I do say to them is I'll pay you for your time if we want to film an ad together, but I want the endorsement, just you saying that this thing is unbelievable. Yeah. So I think they know their worth.
Yeah. So I think that's the key to it. If you got a good product like you do, is really, connecting the dots and getting different people, if it's celebrities or athletes, especially for yours, to really help just get some notoriety on your brand and your product with, they're just a product of the product, and you can see it works when they're super fit. And you too, you're the product of your product. So it's of yourself. So what would you say, since it's the marketing mastermind, what would you say is the next marketing wave that's coming up? Or do you have anything in the future coming up where you're like, okay, this is how I'm going to really market this X3 bar?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do have something.
Can't be disclosed.
Yeah, I can't really talk about it yet, but you have something amazing, but is there a way to make it even better? Yeah. You always have to be asking yourself that question. Now, I warn people who start businesses, like, don't get swept away in engineering, because it's like there's kind of a joke, like, a company run by an engineer will always be in redesign. They'll never launch a product because they always know they can make it better, but they don't launch anything. It's like sometimes you need to launch what you can. And then once that's successful, then you can get to, maybe your ultimate realization of the product. So there's some amazing things to come. The biggest advancement will be data-driven.
Is there any books that you've read? I'm a big reader, and I figure people that are watching this podcast are too. Any good books that you've read that's really just made an impact on how you presented yourself?
Yeah. Best book I ever read was From Zero to One by Peter Thiel.
Okay. 0 to 1.
Great book.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, if you want to know my business plan, it's funny because I wrote my business plan, and then about 6 months later, Henry says, "Hey, have you ever read 0 to 1?" And he says, Peter Thiel, right? And I said, well, I see him at cocktail parties in San Francisco. I've spoken to him for a minute. I don't know him. And he says, it sounds like he knows about our business or something, because you need to read this book. So I read the book. And it was his recommendation. It was like, if you want to make the maximum amount of money, And then he kind of lays out what you need to do. And it's like exactly what I had done.
That's awesome.
And it had to do with developing, new things that were very helpful to people, but simple and elegant, not necessarily overly complicated. Like you don't need a toaster that's controlled by your phone. Nobody needs a smart toaster because you still got to put bread in it, right?
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't do that by itself. So also we shouldn't be eating bread anyway.
I think it's like having a good product, positioning yourself, and then having
protecting yourself with intellectual property.
Yeah, protecting it, and then having the integrity to back that up. Your doctor, you're fit yourself, so you're, and then people watch and they listen, and then like you said, haters are good for the business. They're people are listening and learning from you, and then once they do their own research, they see that it's working and it's legit.
Yeah. Another book I'd like to recommend is Persuasion.
Persuasion. Okay, I've heard of that book. Yes.
Yeah, okay. It's great. Okay. Really talks about the mind of somebody who's looking to buy something in an area. Like ultimately, if somebody's not in the market, like if somebody walks by one of your gyms and they've never been interested in exercise or getting in better shape, it's just like they don't even see it. It's like it's not even there. So you want to avoid paying money to show advertising to people who think like that. Yeah.
So true. That's awesome. And do you see like the X3 bar? Do you see that in like gyms? Do you see it more at home, more just professional, or do you want to be out to the masses?
Well, like I said, like it's not so much we're selling equipment or a supplement. Right. It's a lifestyle. Like I get to look like a professional athlete, feel like a professional athlete, but my workout's like 10 minutes a day and I take one supplement. Like that's not rearranging my entire life so that I look fit.
That would save me so much time. I need this in my life.
Like you get better results and it's just a fraction of the time of, and ultimately stimulating the body and letting the body recover is what the goal of everyone who exercise does. But if there's a shortcut to stimulation, and there is, and like the workouts are not easy, but they're quick.
They're quick.
And I find people actually aren't lazy at all. They just don't have like an hour or 2 hours because they got to drive to the gym and change their clothes. And then, it's a whole lot of stuff where it's like, boy, I could do that 10 minutes in my living room and then take a shower and go to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, I did that.
Much better and efficient.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wrap this up in a little bow here. I want to know what's something everybody in your industry should stop or start doing? I feel like I can't really wrap this up in a minute. But
industry.
That's a loaded question.
I guess you're talking the fitness industry. The fitness industry is completely ignorant science. It's just most of what you hear out of trainers' mouths. There are good trainers out there. They're not in the majority. There's a percentage of them that are excellent, but most of them, what they were taught was wrong. And a lot of what is reinforced in the gym is like cardio is for weight loss and strength is for building muscle. When you do cardio, you upregulate cortisol. Cortisol's job is protecting body fat and sacrificing muscle. So you're going to stay as fat as possible, as long as possible if you do chronic cardio. Like that's been known for 40 years. There's hundreds of studies that touch on the subject. Yet I say this, I can walk into a gym and talk to any group of trainers and they're like, what are you talking about? Like we were told the opposite of that. Right. Yeah. And it's because your business has a lot of treadmills. That's why.
Yeah. I know.
Get people on the treadmills, get people believing in the treadmill because that's what we have.
Yeah. It's easy.
It's an easy sale. It's just like, weight loss is over there.
Yeah.
But that's not what it is.
So start lifting weights.
People have a weight loss strategy that's pure nutrition, no exercise. Is it a shock that they do better? Not to me. But I'm following the science and the industry doesn't. And in fact, the professional organizations of sports scientists, these are smart people. So, the National Academy of Sports Medicine, the American College of Sports Medicine, they always have these annual congresses where they really, the subject is, why doesn't anybody listen to us?
Yeah.
And it's not that nobody listens to them. The scientists are always reading what the other scientists are doing and benefiting. So it's like, sometimes I read a piece of research and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great reference for something that I'm working on. But they can't dumb it down enough for the fitness industry.
People to hear it.
Yeah. And sometimes it's and it's funny, like I did a presentation on TikTok the other day. I did it on Instagram too, but I got a really negative reaction from TikTok, which is the lowest common denominator of social media. I mean, it's really the dumbest people. But it was just like people were just infuriated over this. And it's like, and I would respond, which of the 3 studies did you have a problem with? You should contact the journal and have them retract it.
Yeah, because
there's something wrong with the science. Of course, none of them could ever get that done because they can't actually present a real argument. But it was the vast majority of the responses were just horribly negative. And it's like, this is science. Like, don't argue with me.
Yeah. I didn't make it up.
I'm just the messenger here. I'm just telling you what others have said.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So keeping it simple, I think with, more protein, less carbs, lifting weights. You don't need an hour and a half a day. You don't need excess cardio. You need, 10 minutes on the X3 bar. And for marketing, just, putting yourself out there and to grab attention like you've done, which has been so crucial, I think, and pivotal in your growth. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Jaquish, I appreciate it. And
all right.
I can't wait to get my hands on an X3 bar. And well, I'm Michelle Bell with Marketing Masters, and we'll catch you next time.